2, 3, 4. Hi, everybody. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Sherry, are you at work?
Nope, I'm off today, so I could join in.
Do you want to hop on video, or do you just want to be?
Where am I at? Oh, hang on. I'm learning.
All right.
Okay, there I am.
All right. I don't know if we're gonna have anyone else joining it later on, but I figure we can just get started and see what Stacy has to share with us from West Dakota Parent Family Resource Center.
First?
Yeah, you get to go first.
Hi, everybody. I think I know some of you, but I don't know all of you. So, Alicia, thank you for inviting me to visit just a little bit about the Parent Center. I work for the Dickinson Public School District, and I coordinate the West Dakota Parent and Family Resource Center. And actually, I'm kind of proud because we are celebrating our 26th year this year of being a center that provides resources and support to our families. I don't know about all of you, but did you all get like this book that gave us all the answers when we had our kids? No. You know, it sure would have been nice, but we don't get that book. And sometimes just having parenting resources and a place that you can go for some support. All of the research shows that when parents feel more informed and more supported, kids do better in school. So I think I have the best job. I get to work with moms and dads all the time, every day. Providing parenting classes, we do parent support groups, we do lots of different things just so that we can help parents as they're doing that most important job of parenting. I think parenting, I'm a little biased, but I think parenting is the most important job we'll ever have. What do you think? Yes? Mm-hmm. So the Parent Center, I don't know, did all of you know about the Parent Center, that we had one? So every month we send home a newsletter in your child's backpack. So this newsletter is your way, your avenue, if you will, to know what in the world is she up to over there. It always tells you what I'm offering, what I'm doing, but it also gives you can call the Parent Center, you can request information. We also have a lending library, so you can come and check out anything that you want to. I know that sometimes we like to listen rather than read a book or maybe watch a video, and I have all of those things. I have over 8,000 pieces of information that a parent could check out on just about anything that you're wondering about. I also, for our school district, I don't know if you've heard, have you heard of the Gearing Up for Kindergarten program? Like, it is so cool, and it's free, and it's for our parents who have kids who will be entering kindergarten. And so it's a 16 weeks. We meet 8 weeks in the fall and 8 weeks in the spring. And I hire teachers, and we actually have supper, and we are in the classroom with a classroom teacher. Because I don't know about you, but do you think kindergarten has changed since you were a kid? Yeah, kindergarten has changed a lot. And so this is really an opportunity for parents to learn what in the world are they doing in school and how can I help to get my child ready for kindergarten. Plus, it gives your kids an opportunity to be in a school setting, experience that big building, be in a classroom, to actually sit and listen to the classroom teacher. It's a great experience for our kids too. This year is I think it's like our 16th year of doing Gearing Up for Kindergarten. It's been a long time already. So, and that program is very successful. I am taking registrations for the spring, so if you know anybody who's interested. I also coordinate the Changing program. Have you heard of the Changing program? Okay, so I just talked about our 4-year-olds. On the other end, we have a program for our kids as they begin to go through puberty. Because going through puberty and making that transition is not always easy either. And so we work in partnership with our college and work with their nursing students, and we bring this program to our kids so that they can be prepared rather than scared about all those darn changes that they will experience going through puberty. So I do lots of different parenting things for our school district, but you know what? We're always here for you. And so you can call anytime if you want to offer suggestions, request resources. I even have an advisory board if you ever want to be on another committee. I have an advisory board. The other thing real quick that I do for our school district, I am also the homeless liaison for our school district. And what that entails is that I reach out to our families who are in transition of permanent housing, because we do have some families who aren't in permanent housing, and so we want to make sure that those students have what they need so that they can be successful in school. So I also do that as well, as I also coordinate the parent center. Any questions? Alicia, am I forgetting anything?
I was gonna say, if anyone else has questions, I was gonna ask, like, if you have any resources that might be beneficial for parents while we're distance learning right now.
Yep.
And like what kind of stuff you would have for those of us that are either full-time learning at home or part-time at home, or just, you know, ways that we can better deal with that and help our kids.
So I'm so glad she brought that up, because I started going through training last week, and I have 2 more days this week, but I'm going through getting trained in a program, parenting during a pandemic, because I don't know, like, we didn't get a book on that either, and we are all stressed out. And so this really, I am learning so much. I will be offering that for parents. But I also have been sending home additional electronic pieces of information. I have been requesting some resources for our library here too. So we're trying to stay on top of that as well, Alicia. Last year, we also started a parent support group, which we were holding at noon over at Lincoln Elementary, inviting all parents. Because coming into our schools is a little different this year, I think that starting in November, I will start that back up, but we'll be meeting over at the center once a month for parents. And that really started out by providing resources for our parents who may have kids with special needs. But then it kind of evolved to all of us, because providing resources and support in general is just very helpful.
So will you be doing that on a same day a week, or might you be like, I'm trying to think of like those of us that might want to go, but if it's on a day where I'm distance learning my kids and I need to be home with them.
So you want me to be flexible, Alicia?
I'm just wondering what our options are.
So maybe we should think about that a little bit. I mean, maybe I could alternate. Maybe I could do it twice a month and just alternate. And I'm certainly flexible.
Because I know that that was a group that I participated in some last year that I found out because I had a kid with special needs, but that's how I found out about it. And I was wondering if that's something that we could maybe promote through all of the elementary schools. I you know, because I know it was focusing more on elementary students. But does that make sense? Like, if something that we could let all Heart River parents know about, so that if that's something they want to participate in.
I try to stay connected with Mr. Muffley.
Okay.
Regularly. And he is very good about sharing information out to our teachers, who then share that information out to parents. So I think that's a great idea, Alicia. I'll make sure to send Mr. Muffley things when we got it ready to go.
All right, my one last suggestion would be in that newsletter that you send out. You're great about sharing resources that you have and like programs or classes. Have you thought of doing like a spotlight once a month on a different book or resource you have in the lending library? Because that's one thing that I even forget, that there are resources there that I don't have to buy. I don't even have to really search for them. I can call you and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you have? And you would have maybe have a resource that I could borrow and I don't have to pay for. I feel like that would be something that might be helpful as well.
You are the best advertisement ever, Alicia. Thank you.
You've been a good help to me, and I feel like there's so much that you guys do that a lot of our parents don't know about, and I think that's really important to know. So
I will put a lending library highlight corner in my newsletter.
anybody else have any questions? Fabulous. I think
Thanks,
that's all that we
everybody.
need. We'll let you get back to work, Stacy.
Have a great meeting.
Yep, bye. Alrighty, let's see. Next, okay, financial update. Hold on, let me share my screen here. And let's see, can you guys see the account balance? Yes, okay. So this is the latest I have from Jeanette, and this was our, it's $11,803.63 is what our balance was before the chocolate fundraiser. You will see the, it ended up being $238.42 for the lanyards because teachers and staff had requested different colors, and so just finding different colors and getting those all set ended up being $238.42. So balance is $11,803.63. I'm gonna switch us over to World's Finest Chocolate because that's the most recent fundraiser. And just for the math on that, we received 200 boxes of chocolate to sell. Because we were a first-time seller, we got an extra 30 boxes for free. So that would be something that we don't have if we were to ever do this again. So if we sold all 230 boxes at $60 a piece, so that brings $13,800 into the school. We received a bill from World's Finest Chocolate for $6,095. So that's 200 boxes that we had to pay for at $30 a box, 50%, $6,000. And then there was a $95 shipping fee that I wasn't 100% aware of, but that's okay. Then this morning, Jeanette and I both got an email with an invoice from Reed Johnson for prizes for $912 for the prizes that we used. So I called Jeanette this morning. Neither one of us were 100% aware that that bill was necessarily coming. And that wasn't something that was made super clear. And I think that was partially assumptions on our part because when we've done Club's Choice in the past, all of those prizes, like Club's Choice, it just incorporates all of that into their costs. And so I was assuming that that was how World's Finest Chocolate did it, and apparently not so. However, for in-person chocolate sales, we brought in $13,800. Jeanette also mentioned that we only have about a handful of students that haven't brought money back in yet, and so she'll be calling those, so we have almost all of that. And then $7,007 ended up getting paid out, so that's that $6,095 plus the $912. So our in-person profit is $6,793. So that is less than what we usually bring in with Club's Choice. But it's also, we knew we weren't going to be necessarily getting as much with Club's Choice. We just know this one was going to be easier for us with the situation this year, and we tried it out. I asked Reed about the online sales because we did have some online sales. We I don't know if there was a lot, because I think that to create an account, you needed to like enter 12 email addresses, and that's a lot. One of the things that I discovered that I don't know if anyone else knew was that you don't have to actually create an account. So I was able to just share the link to the school with my friends and like the code for the school with all of my friends and family that was interested in purchasing online because they're out of town. And then they would use that link for the school or the code, go to the website, enter the school code, and then it would ask what the student was, and you could type in the student name, so you didn't actually have to set up an individual student account. So if this is something we wanted to do in the future, that would be something to think about. So I asked him what our online sales were. He didn't have the numbers with him when I remembered to ask him this morning. He will get those to me later on, but we will be getting a check from World's Finest Chocolate for the 40% profit from that in a couple of weeks. So back to the account balance. So that's a previous balance of $11,803.63 plus the $6,793 that we know of, which leaves us with a new account balance of $18,596.63. Any questions on that? Okay. So agenda, what? Financial report, fundraiser updates. So World's Finest Chocolate, that's what the results are money-wise for that. What did you guys think of that? We got 200 boxes. We sold them all. We ran out. We decided not to get any more because it was close to the end.
I personally loved it, but I also work with 99% women during a pandemic, so everyone wanted chocolate. So I sold out boxes and boxes like every day almost because everyone wanted some chocolate. And for $1, it's so nice because I just had them throw $1 in our envelope, and then they could grab their candy bar, and some bought like 10, some bought 1, didn't matter. I liked it.
We did have our top seller sold 12 boxes of chocolate, and our second top seller sold 11 boxes. So we did have some students that sold a lot. Mm-hmm. And Jeanette was saying that even she was having parents call saying, hey, my kid's not in for another day, but we need more boxes. And she's like, we just drop them off at the door. We had chocolate going left and right. So I feel like for a pandemic, we did a fundraiser. We brought in $6-7 grand. I think that's really, really great. If we were to do it again in a future year, that would be a discussion to have at that point. Mr. Muffley, we did Walmart gift cards, correct? To those top 3 earners. So it was a $75 gift card to the top earner, $50 to the second place, and $25 to third place.
Yeah, that's correct. Hi, everybody. We just thought the kids did such a nice job. I mean, 12 boxes of chocolate, my goodness. Yeah. And we were handing out, I was delivering lots of chocolate to the front door over the past couple of weeks. But so we thought we'd add a little extra. We haven't given those out yet because we were waiting for the online sales, but we thought that might be nice just to really honor those kids that went, above and beyond. But it was pretty amazing. Like you said, Alicia, during a pandemic, when I saw all the chocolate in the conference room, I have to be honest, I got a little anxious. Mm-hmm. Because you didn't know what to expect with it. Mrs. Wyckoff was amazing. I bought her a Wonder Woman coffee cup after she was done because her organizational skills were through the roof on this one. And man, thanks for the support. I'm pretty sure there were some schools that didn't do anything. They decided to kind of avoid the fall fundraiser, and you respect that. But to have close to $7,000 is pretty amazing in my opinion.
I thought so too. I enjoyed it. I'm like, those are my stocking stuffers for Christmas. So I'm like trying to save some. I don't know if we're going to make it. Last month, I had mentioned the possibility of doing some t-shirt sales, which we've done in the past. And Mr. Muffley, you had suggested that. So here's what happened. I go like, yeah, Logo Magic, you know how we opened our store twice last year? Can we just open it again this year? And they're like, yeah, here, let me send you to Kim you can get it all set up. And all of a sudden I realized we're starting from the beginning again. And so I kind of freaked out for a minute and I was like, I was thinking this would just be like reopen what we had done before. So I don't really have time to do this. And they're like, don't you worry. They asked me a couple of questions and they have been working to put it all together. And I'm actually very excited. They had a couple, we're gonna have the same logos that we've had before, but they suggested like a couple of crests that I know I posted on the Facebook group just to get you guys' feedback. And you guys are all like, yep, that's awesome. So we have, honestly, I haven't seen it yet. I asked how things were going, and hopefully by the end of the week, we will have that online store up and open. So, and the plan was to go till mid-November. My question is, are we worried about that conflicting with our book fair? Because I didn't know we had the book fair coming. Nope, okay. So basically, hopefully by Friday, I will have a link that I will forward to you, Mr. Muffley, that we can, with maybe like a little blurb of here's what's going on. People will go online to our Logo Magic Store website. We're gonna have more than shirts this year, I think. There was another elementary school that does this too. And so she showed me what their store was like this year. And they had masks and hats and coffee cups. And I was like, that's cool, let's do that too. So I don't know, they're really doing all of it for us. They're throwing a couple bucks on top of the cost of each item for the purpose of a fundraiser. And so at the end of everything, we will get a check. I don't know how much. It's not necessarily too big, but it's a little bit, and it'll help boost school spirit. We're limiting our colors to red and blue because Heart River, right? Yeah. So that'll kind of help unify everything. I am looking forward to it. And the one difference we're going to do this year is that for pickup, you'll get notified when the stuff is in, and we will all have to go to Logo Magic to pick them up because of two reasons in particular. One, that's just less people touching the material, and that's less for the teachers to have to deal with. There's plenty that they have to deal with right now. So instead of last year, I sorted everything out by class and took them in, and we just don't need to create that extra work. The other problem that we had last year was children with parents who did not live in the same place. So if a child was going to a different location, so if mom ordered shirts and then the child was going to be taking the bus home to dad or picked up by dad, mom wouldn't want dad, the shirts would end up at dad's house and then mom wouldn't get them, or there were concerns about that. So rather than having teachers have to deal with who's getting what on which day, everyone's going to Logo Magic to pick their stuff up. Any questions on that? Fabulous. I'm super excited. I'm very excited to see what they've got. So next we have Mr. Muffley, you're up.
Well, hi again, everybody. I hope you are doing well. I have actually quite a bit, Alicia, I'm going to update on, and I wanted to share a couple of videos. So in a few minutes, I'm going to share my screen if it's okay with you, to kind of update you on some stuff that we're doing. So first off, I just want to say thank you. I'm really amazed with the kids and the selling of the chocolate and the support. I mean, that was really quite incredible, and just the support that took place. So thank you to everybody. Couple of reminders, there's no school this Thursday and Friday. There's a convention taking place in Bismarck. It's all electronic this year, but I'll be participating in that, and I think some of our staff. No school on Election Day, November 3rd. There's no school on Veterans Day, November 12th, and then next week on the 30th is an early release. We get out at 1 o'clock. I just wanted to remind, and I'm probably speaking to the choir, but I know this is also recorded. So just a reminder, we start school at 8:05. So we have some families that are getting here a little bit later, it seems like, over the past couple weeks each day. and some of those students get breakfast here at school, and we've already kind of closed that down. So just a reminder to everybody that 8:05 is our start time, and we're not really able to provide that breakfast if students are here later, just because we're shutting things down and starting to shift towards lunch and stuff. So just a friendly reminder about that. I think our drop-off is going super well in the morning. Everything I've seen, the kids are spread out on the playground. We have staff everywhere. Seems like it's going pretty smooth. And at the end of the day, it's a lot of people picking up because a lot of people are not using the buses this year, as you know, too. But I think that the new change, as far as I'm concerned, is going well. People are patient. It takes probably a little bit longer than you're used to, but I feel like it's really safe too. So, we know that kids are getting in the right cars. We're not worried about kids exiting in other parts of our school property and not really being able to monitor that very well. So I feel real good about that. So kudos to you guys for putting that together last year and presenting that and coming up with a plan. So just wanted to let you know we appreciate that. The kids are doing great. It's obviously such a strange year for all of us, but I have to tell you, the kids, it's just neat to have them in school, hearing their footsteps, hearing them laugh. They're doing well with the mask. I know it's a very polarizing topic. We have people on both sides, but our boys and girls are really doing a great job with that. It's going better than I anticipated, to be honest with you. The kids are keeping their masks. We're not really dealing with a lot of kids losing them. I thought that was going to be an issue, and it's not really been an issue. Occasionally they break, and we have lots of extra ones that we're able to give out to the students. So all of that's going well. So with that said, we're trying to do some things just that are fun too for kids, right? And make it school. So we are going to be doing our Harvest Festival next week. So Mrs. Kuzi, Mrs. Too Good, and we have some other paraprofessionals. We're going to be doing different games for the kids on both days, on the 28th and 29th. Students are encouraged to dress up when they come to school if they'd like to. Our staff has a theme. We're fairy tales. I'm not going to tell you what I am. You're going to have to wait and see. I'm going to keep that a secret, but we're going to have some fun with that. We're doing Red Ribbon Week, as you know. So today the kids came to school. Yesterday they were wearing red. Pajama Day's coming up. So we're just trying to keep things as normal as we can in terms of fun things for students. A couple other really cool things. Our student council, Mrs. Fryermood, has begun that. And so the way that we're navigating that is she opened it up to anybody who was interested in 5th grade. And we had a pretty good response from the kids. So she's meeting with them during her lunchtime, which I really appreciate her doing. And students who aren't here on the days that she's meeting, they're just coming to school, and we're letting them in, taking their temperature, and then they're going down to her classroom. So they've had their first meeting, and I'll share more probably next month in terms of what they decide to do through the student council. So that's pretty cool. And then another really neat thing is we added a calming room here. So you probably have heard those. I don't know if last spring that was talked about and shared with you, but we have an area in our school that has all kinds of, it's just a small room, but it has all kinds of sensory items in there for students who are in need of that. It looks really cool. And then last night during conferences, some of the staff who were available, we laid out a sensory hallway, which is super cool. So I'll share some pictures at some point. So what that looks like is on the floor down in our, I'm pointing behind me like you know where I am. So in our school, I think it's door 4 or 5, in that hallway, there's all of these different items that kids will do on the floor. And so they'll start by jumping, and then there's bear crawl, there's wall push-ups, and it has kind of a woodlands theme to it. And so there's a ladder. And so when the kids came in, the 4th and 5th graders coming through that door this morning, they were pretty excited about that. So it's a good use of that space because that hallway is really not utilized, and it's a need that we have. And so there was a grant that was written by Mrs. Bishop and Mrs. Knipp, Mrs. Hartman, and so that's pretty cool. So I'll share at some point some pictures on Facebook. I took some videos because the kids were excited to come into this morning. I won't share that, but it was kind of neat watching them come in and be excited. A couple other things we're working on. As you know, last year, Heart River started the first part of level 1 for the high reliability schools. And this school was distinguished at the end. And so that was culture and climate, making sure that we had a safe and orderly environment. So we'll obviously continue that work this year, but we're moving into the second level of that. And the second level is effective teaching in every classroom. And so I just want to share what that work will be this year. And I'll be sending out in the month of November a survey for our families. We'll be taking different data collections from our staff and our students and then our families. But effective teaching in every classroom, what we're working towards is that the school leader communicates a clear vision as to how instruction should be addressed in the school. So we'll have an instructional model that all of our staff will be on the same page with in terms of expectations and strategies within our classrooms. Support is provided to teachers to continually enhance their pedagogical skills through reflection and professional growth plans. So all of our teachers I've met with already this year, they've all shared with me areas that they would like to grow in as educators. So we've had that conversation. So my job now is to help support them with that. And so I do that through walking through the classrooms and making observations and giving feedback and conversation. Predominant instructional practices throughout the school are known and monitored. Teachers are provided with clear ongoing evaluations of their strengths and weaknesses that are based on multiple sources of data and are consistent with student achievement data. I'm going to grab a drink of water here real quick. Teachers are provided with job-embedded professional development that's directly related to their instructional growth goals. And then finally, teachers have opportunities to observe and discuss effective teaching. So what that'll look like eventually is we'll set up opportunities for teachers to go into each other's classrooms, and they'll be able to watch each other during their instructional time and then just have conversations around that. So I've done that in my prior school, and that was honestly some of the best learning for teachers, having those opportunities. So that's what effective teaching in every classroom in our work for level 2 will look like this year. So I'm going to pause because I have one more thing I want to share with you. Any questions about that? So the last thing I want to share is social and emotional learning is something that we focus on in all of our schools in Dickinson. And one of the things that I had the privilege of taking part of in Michigan was kind of jumping on the ground floor of what's called the Positivity Project. And so I see it as a need here in our school in terms of really providing that support for social emotional learning. So I wanted to share with you a little bit of what that is. So I'm going to share my screen, and the first thing you're going to see is the science of character. And so this video is about 8 minutes long that talks about character traits. So I have 2 screens, so I'm going to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. So give me a second here. Can you see? No, you can't probably. Can you see a video? Can't see that? All right, give me a second. Can you see a video now? Can you hear it okay?
You might need to stop share and then reshare again and make sure the share with audio box is checked. That's what I've run into.
Give me just a second. See if we can hear it now. Hear it, Elisa? No? All right, well, I don't know why I can't get sound on there. Can't hear it, huh?
Yeah. So when I've shared videos on a screen, it's as you hit the share screen, a little pop-up pops up and it'll ask you like, and under at the bottom of it, it'll say share computer audio, and you have to check the box next to it before you share the screen.
Let me try it one more time.
You see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're all trying to figure
There
out.
it goes.
All right. Thanks.
This whole idea
Appreciate
about
your
developing our character really took shape in 2004, when two psychologists suggested that instead of just focusing on all the things that can go wrong with us, it's also important to celebrate all the things that can go right. You see, they looked throughout history to identify core virtues that humans across cultures have agreed lead to a meaningful life. And then they identified 24 character strengths that, when practiced and developed, could lead to these virtues. And they organized them, like scientists have done throughout history to understand things better. These groundbreaking studies showed that every person is a unique combination of these strengths. Like for me, I'm high on curiosity. I could work a little on the prudence. Actually, what is prudence? Anyhow, one of the most interesting parts of all this is they found that if we focus on building upon the strengths we have, it has a lasting effect on our happiness and well-being. So think about it. What are your top 5 strengths? Now, another part of this is that you can help shape other people's character too. They found that the key to human relationships is ultimately appreciating the character strengths in others. To explore this, we asked people around the world, who do you admire and why?
I admire my mother the most because she's very loving and caring.
The person I admire the most is Einstein, of course. My sister, because she is so tough and so brave.
People who use their creative energy to make the world a better place.
This powerful new framework paved the way for a whole new era of social science that, it turns out, is unpacking a very old idea. So how do we develop these character strengths? One theory suggests that people either have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is the belief that we're born with certain abilities, intelligence, and talents, and we're stuck with it. A growth mindset is believing I can change. If I set my mind to it, I can do anything. Let's take, for example, failing at something. With a fixed mindset, failing means I'm a failure. A growth mindset understands failure happens to everyone. Of course, it's hard. I've been there. But it's also something to learn from, something to improve upon. Fortunately, we can all develop a growth mindset. It takes practice and it takes encouragement from the people around us, but it can be learned. And it's all because of an amazing part of the human brain called the prefrontal cortex. It's like our brain's control panel that orchestrates our thoughts and actions. What many scientists call executive functions. Or what neuroscientist Adele Diamond, calls self-regulations. I like to think of it as my self-control filter, the thing that keeps my impulses and emotions in check. And the way to strengthen that filter is as simple as taking a moment, focusing your attention, and asking yourself, is what I'm about to do a reflection of who I am and who I want to be? So while we're all becoming more and more distracted in this age of distraction, we need to remember to take a moment and think. There are a lot of new exciting conversations happening about character. One that I find interesting is that there are 7 strengths in particular that can be real game changers in academic achievement, success, and happiness, no matter what your circumstances. Those 7 are optimism, gratitude, social intelligence, curiosity, self-control, enthusiasm, and perseverance, also known as grit. While there have been many different theories about character throughout history, what scientists in this field agree on is that character matters, and that character strengths can be learned, practiced, and cultivated. So when you think about yourself, What are your strengths? And how can you find ways to use them more in your home, work, school, and community? It's like you have these superpowers, and focusing your attention on them makes them stronger. And then, if you focus on the people around you and their strengths, it makes them stronger too. As each of us becomes our best versions of ourselves and encourages others to do the same, we can lead to important changes throughout the world. Just imagine a world infused with more humanity, justice, courage, wisdom, and compassion. So if you can be a better version of yourself, how do you want to be?
I definitely want to be somebody that other people can feel they can rely on.
A man who was courageous.
Somebody who went for their goals.
As a risk taker.
Kind.
Exactly like my mom. Beautiful, strong, and powerful.
I want people to say that I'm funny.
Who is a nice person.
Generous.
Be yourself.
Kind.
Accountable.
Incondicional. También sensible.
Profesional.
Charismática.
I want to become someone who, when the time comes for me to die, I go, oh my goodness, I have used it up. I have wrung it dry.
Everybody is a star. They just need to learn how to shine.
So let me stop that for a second. And can you see the screen that says Positivity Project? Probably not. Hang on a second.
I think you're gonna need to share again.
Yeah, let me just switch screens. I'm working out of two screens. Give me 1 second. Can you see the Positivity Project now on the screen? So before I play this next video, what the Positivity Project, you're going to hear from one of the co-founders. His name is Mike Irwin. I've had the pleasure of meeting him. He's a veteran, went to University of Michigan and worked with a professor there named Chris Peterson, who's since passed away. But their research was really focused on positive psychology, and you're going to hear a little bit about that. And through this research, what they were researching and looking at were why veterans are coming out of the military, and some have been successful, and while many have struggled. And so the research was really around veterans. And through this character strength in this conversation, there was a principal in New York who said, hey, we need this stuff in schools. And it wasn't really designed for that at first, but they worked together and they created the Positivity Project. And it started in New York, and it gained some momentum, and it ended up in Michigan. And so the school that I was at in Michigan, we were one of the first 180 schools. It's probably about 3 or 4 years old that got on board with this. And I have to tell you, and I'm not much of a gimmick person, to be honest with you. It's honestly been some of the best non-academic stuff that I've ever participated in with students. And some of the things that I saw, in fact, when this is done, I want to share with you just something I saw in the school yesterday with a couple of our second grade students, because it was really cool. But this is Mike Irwin, and I just want you to hear a little bit more about the Positivity Project, and then I'll share with you what I saw yesterday and kind of what our plan is here at Heart River.
Greetings, teachers. My name is Mike Irwin. I'm the co-founder and the president of the Positivity Project. We're a nonprofit organization with the mission to empower your students to build strong relationships by recognizing, appreciating, and exemplifying the character strengths in us all. Now, we are not a program. We do not have a curriculum. We're a nonprofit. We partner with schools, and we provide you with the training, the resources, the knowledge, and the confidence to be able to teach positive psychology's 24 character strengths to your students, to teach your students about the importance of building good relationships, and understanding the idea that other people matter. We really put the power of this strategy into your hands. You bring it to life in a way that works for you. You make the Positivity Project your own in your classrooms and within your school. And when you do that this school year, you're going to have a tremendous impact on your students and hopefully also on your own lives. I hope you have a great school year. Thank you so much for being a part of the Positivity Project and leading the Other People Matter movement. I'd like to take a minute now and just share a little bit more detail about the Positivity Project strategy. As I talked about, our mission is to empower America's youth to build strong relationships. But how do we get there? It really starts with the consistent exposure to the 24 character strength language and concepts. You need to have the language and know the words, but you also need to know what they mean. Why? Two things happen when you are consistently exposed to this. Number one, your knowledge about yourself, your confidence in who you are goes up. You have the ability and the words and the knowledge to be able to recognize the good in yourself. At the same time, those words and that knowledge helps you to recognize and to see the good in other people. It's very easy for us to look for the flaws and the shortcomings in other people, but we know that when exposed to these positive words like integrity and fairness and forgiveness and humor and humility, that we have the ability to better understand other people, especially people that are different from us. Now what you have is the formula for stronger relationships. When I know myself better, when I know you better, we're just going to have a better relationship when that relationship is based upon our character strengths and not who's the most attractive or the most popular or the fastest or the smartest kid in school. Now, this is all important because not only do these stronger relationships have an impact on people's lives and on their well-being, but it also shapes the culture and the sense of community in your school and in your life. So these better relationships, little bit by little bit, these micro interactions that just get a little bit better, it actually helps to build a more positive culture in your building and in your classrooms where students are having more respect for each other and they're just building better relationships with each other, but also with their teachers. The Positivity Project's mission is grounded in the research of positive psychology, which states that there are 4 pillars that we need to move through to live a satisfactory and fulfilled life. The first pillar is character strengths. How well do we know ourselves and recognize the good that we have within us? The second pillar, positive relationships. We know that relationships are the #1 predictor of life satisfaction. In fact, this is why our entire mission is grounded in the idea of empowering America's youth to build strong relationships. So that second pillar of building positive relationships is so important. We know that if our students can build relationships based upon character instead of who's the most attractive or who's the fastest or who's the smartest, that they are going to have the framework for building strong, positive relationships. Now, relationships are so important because it sets the conditions for the third pillar, which is positive experiences and emotions. It is absolutely possible to have these positive experiences in life on our own, reading a book on our own, or going for a walk on our own. However, we know that a majority of life's positive experiences occur in the presence of and with other people, with family, with friends, with teammates, with classmates. And that's why those positive experiences are so important in life. The last pillar, the fourth one, is positive institutions. These are organizations that we belong to that help to facilitate our development of our character. They set the conditions for us to build good relationships and have as many of these positive experiences and emotions in our life that we can possibly have to live a satisfactory life. Positive psychology defines character as the family of thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that are recognized across all cultures for the value that they cultivate in individuals and in society. So, in other words, character is not just what you do. Character is what you think, what you feel, and what you do. It's the combination of all 3 of those. Sometimes we lead with our thoughts. Sometimes we lead with our actions. But regardless, character and developing good character means shaping a person's thoughts, their feelings, and their behaviors. One of the reasons the Positivity Project exists is to address a couple of concerning trends that we've noticed over the past 30 years from the research, and that is the rise of narcissism and the decrease in empathy. Since they've been tracking this data back in the 1980s, we've seen over a 30% rise in narcissism, which is this focus on oneself. And at the same time, a 40% decrease in empathy, which is the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. In many ways, these are flip sides of the same coin. by teaching students about the character strengths in themselves and in others and helping them to build an other people matter mindset, we know we can counter this so that we can reverse these trends where students are more empathetic and they're less narcissistic and focusing on themselves less because they're focusing on other people more. While partnering with the Positivity Project is an important thing to do, it's also a smart thing to do. Researchers from MIT and Oxford over the past decade have been studying what skills will be in demand for the economy of the future. And we know that one of those skills is working together on a team, group dynamics. The more effectively that your students, as they become people in the workforce, know and interact with people from all over the world in the economy, the more effective they will be at their job and building relationships with people and working together on a team, which will then also give them the capacity to frame and to solve very complex and open-ended problems together. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you've got those good group dynamics. How you build those group dynamics is by teaching your students to be able to see the character strengths in themselves, in each other, and to focus on the importance of relationships in their lives, both personally and professionally.
So I presented this to the Heart River staff on our last early release day, and recognizing that when you're asking staff to do, teachers to do something really additional than reading, writing, math, we built in this year in our schedule about 20 minutes to address social emotional learning needs. That's the beginning of our school day. The first month was really spent on building relationships with each other in the classroom and the teacher. When I presented this to our staff and they watched the same video that you watched and asked for them to take a vote, because I didn't want to go down this path without them being interested in doing this. As a staff here, I had 100% who were interested. I have to tell you, I've been a principal for a few years. I have never had 100% on anything I've ever asked a group of teachers. I don't mean that to come across negative. I've offered free t-shirts and I didn't get 100% because they weren't cotton or 50-50 blend. So I was super excited that the staff here was interested in it. And so I think this is going to be a really powerful thing for this school. And I speak from the experience. We did it for about 3 years in the school that I was at Michigan. And the conversations that I was having with students as a longtime educator really was shifting quite a bit. And they were super cool. And so I'll give you one example, and I want to share with you something I saw yesterday. One that happened in my previous school is I had a 5th grade student walk in and say, "Mr. Muffley, can I set an appointment up with you? I'd like to talk with you. I want to share something with you." You know, of course. So she comes in, sits down, and she says, "I'm in dance." And she was really heavily involved in a dance. And she said, "I have a friend whose father has esophagus cancer." And she said, "and they're not able to afford dance anymore." And she said, "I have learned," she said, "you've taught us." She literally said to me, "You taught us other people matter." And she said, "I want to do a fundraiser so that we can help support dance." So she goes, "I'd like to go out in our drop-off loop and I would like to just collect pop cans. In Michigan, you get 10 cents for pop cans." And she said, "I'd like to take that money and I'd like to donate it to this family." And so, what do you say to that? Like, she's pointing at me like, "You taught us and I want to do something for someone else." So of course we did that. And she ended up raising like $1,000 to help pay for dance. But she did it under this other people matter mindset. And that's just one of many stories that I could honestly tell you that I saw from our students. So here's what I saw yesterday. We haven't started this in full force. I have to do the training with the staff, and I'm able to do the training because I'm familiar with it. So our next early release day, both our certified and our classified staff here will be involved in our training. We'll be spending the afternoon going through it so they become familiar with the character traits and the whole positivity project. But we kind of had a soft start. So this week, the character trait is forgiveness. And each week, it'll either be a week or 2 weeks where the character trait will be discussed. All of the content is developed by teachers. They're actually developed by teachers from where I came from, the district next to us. They're all grade level specific. So kindergarten has specific content. It's about a 15-minute lesson. There's not a lot of prep with it because it's a slide deck. So I actually can jump in and teach a lesson with really minimal prep and have a conversation with kids. So forgiveness was this week. I was in the hallway. I was watching a 2nd grade student who was kind of struggling, didn't want to come in from recess. She was mad at another student, giving the teacher a little bit of a hard time. Teacher was able to get her in, got her down to the classroom. I was just kind of hovering and watching. And the teacher says to the student, "We learned about forgiveness today." That was a character trait. You learned about forgiveness this morning. Would you be willing to have a conversation with this other student and work through this? And she's like, yeah. So I watched these two little girls, second graders, sit down and have a conversation about forgiveness and resolved their issue. Now, I mean, that's what we're all about. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want that to be something that the students have the ability, that I don't have to solve it for them. I can help, guide them, and the teacher can help, but that came from them. So I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited for the students here and the staff and our community. We will communicate those character traits to our families. There's little character cards that I can send out in our monthly notes that we'll send out, so that if you want to kind of continue that conversation around the dinner table, you're able to do that. But I wanted to thank you for giving me more time today, Alicia, than I probably would normally take. But I just wanted to share that with you, that that's a path we're headed down to address the social emotional learning. And it's all tied around research, and it's very powerful research. So I talked a lot. I'm going to stop. Do you have any questions for me about the Positivity Project or anything else I share?
I would just say that, like, for me as a parent, like, I get very excited when I hear that my students, my kids are learning this stuff. And I like the fact that you're going to be sending information home on what you're talking about, because I know that stuff clicks so much more with them when I'm able to use similar language to what they're hearing at school to reinforce those same concepts in two different environments, and that it'll click more. So that, I mean, it's not really a question, but it's just like, yes, please send the information home, because I know I definitely would really appreciate it. So
the way it's designed is it's a calendar that's created for the whole year. And so all of the schools that are a part of the Positivity Project will all be learning about the same character traits. So forgiveness was this week. Next week is, I can tell you, give me a second to lean out of my camera, is creativity. Will be next week, and which is super cool. And so we'll be sending those cards home in the notes. So it'll probably be 4 cards that'll come home. They're sheets, and I'll have quotes on them, and it'll just talk about what that character trait is. All of the staff here have also taken, and if you're interested, and you can get on a website, it's free. You just have to sign up. It's called a Character Via survey, and you can actually learn about your own character traits. I'll say it again, a Character Via survey, and it's free to sign up. But there's no advertising or anything. And so all of our staff have taken, just to get started, the survey to learn what are their top 5 character traits. So it's kind of fun, because as I walked in here, I actually had several standing around the office out here, socially distancing, but standing around talking about their character traits. So it's kind of neat to hear them talking about their character traits and learning more about that. So we're excited about it. I think it's going to be a really good thing for the kids, like I said. And that's all I have, Alicia, if there's no questions.
I was going to say, the only other thing I was going to ask is if anyone had any other questions, concerns about anything else that we either haven't covered or didn't talk about today. And that those of you knew that District PAC, just because of pandemic, other schools haven't been able to get PACs set up yet. So there really wasn't a whole lot of people ready or available to go to a District PAC meeting. So we did not do one this month. We should have one next month. And as of right now, I am kind of the liaison for that. But when I find out what day of the week the meeting is on, depending on whether Jen Braun's student is in school or just Sherman's students are in school that day, whichever one has kids in the physical building, the other one we're going to try to have you guys go and rep us there and then present is the current plan. Does that work for you, Jen?
Yeah, and he goes to all day RASP on the Tuesdays, Thursdays, so I could do any day if it doesn't work for Jess too.
Okay, so yeah, between the two of you, we will be well repped. So yeah, just if you guys have questions, Dr. Hawker will always ask, have you heard any rumors? Do you have any questions? So if we have anything that we have questions or concerns about, we can let them know so that they can ask for us at that district PAC meeting and bring information back to us. So that was all I have. Anyone else? No? We good? Everybody doing okay? We're surviving? Just barely? You see my mess back there? We've had some fun distance learning this morning. Yeah. All right. If you guys need anything, you know where to find me. And we will post the video on the school website so that everyone else can get the same information that we've got. So, all right. I'm going to end this. You guys have a fabulous long weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.